I never cared much for paperwork. Bills, receipts, statements. I'd glance at them, toss them in a drawer, and forget about them. That's how it had always been. A habit born from trust, from the belief that my wife, Laura, handled things the way she always did. But that afternoon, something caught my eye. A folded piece of paper sat half-buried under a pile of junk mail on the kitchen counter. It wasn't unusual. Laura was the type to leave things lying around, fully intending to deal with them later, but never quite getting around to it. I picked it up absent-mindedly, expecting a grocery receipt or another one of those pointless membership renewal letters. Instead, it was a bill. Holloway Dental and Amp Aesthetics. Emergency appointment, $350. I frowned. Emergency? I knew Laura's teeth. Perfectly straight, perfectly white. The kind of teeth that had never given her any trouble. No cavities, no root canals, no complaints about pain. If she had needed an emergency dental visit, I would have known. She would have mentioned it. Wouldn't she? I checked the date. 2 weeks ago. I sat down at the kitchen table, still staring at the paper in my hands. Something didn't sit right. Laura had never gone to this dentist before. Her usual one was a woman she had been seeing for years. And I remembered that day. She had told me she was meeting her sister for lunch. Something about catching up, just the two of them. So why the lie? My fingers tightened around the bill. I could feel my heartbeat, steady but hard, like a distant drum. A small, nagging voice in the back of my mind whispered something I didn't want to hear. I brushed it off and reached for my phone instead. I typed the dentist's name into Google. Dr. Marcus Holloway. The first result was his clinic's website. I clicked on it, and up came a sleek, modern design, blue and white color scheme, professional yet inviting. Specializing in general and cosmetic dentistry. I scrolled further, past glowing patient reviews and promotional offers, until I found his picture. And that was when something inside me shifted. He was in his 40s, maybe a few years older than me. Tall, broad-shouldered, dark hair with streaks of gray at the temples. Distinguished, like the kind of guy who never had to try too hard. His teeth, of course, were perfect. Too perfect. That kind of fake, Hollywood whiteness that normal people don't have. His smile was confident, just wide enough to seem friendly, but something about it put me on edge. I couldn't explain why, not yet, but I felt it in my gut. I went back to the bill, staring at the words like they might change if I looked at them long. Enough. Emergency appointment. For what? What was the emergency? There was no reason for Laura to be there. Unless it wasn't her teeth she went for. The thought made my stomach tighten. I didn't want to believe it. I wanted to be wrong, to laugh at myself for even considering it. But my mind started working against me, dragging up things I hadn't paid much attention to before. The late nights. The sudden increase in errands. The way she had been on her phone more often, tilting the screen away when I walked by, smiling at messages she never shared. And most of all, the way she had been with me lately. Not colder, not distant. No, Laura was too smart for that. She still kissed me when she left in the morning, still made small talk over dinner, still played her role well enough that I had no reason to suspect anything. But there was something missing, a warmth that used to be there, a spark in her eyes when she looked at me, the way she used to run her fingers over my arm absent-mindedly, like she couldn't help it. It had faded so gradually that I hadn't even noticed until now. Now, with this bill in my hands, it was all I could see. I forced myself to think logically. Maybe it really was just a simple appointment. Maybe her usual dentist was unavailable. Maybe she had a sudden concern about her teeth and just forgot to tell me. But deep down, I already knew. I stood up, gripping the paper so tightly it crumpled in my palm. My heart was hammering now, but not with sadness. Not even shock. It was something else entirely. Anger. Slow, simmering at first, then building. She had lied to me. And if my gut was right, if this wasn't just a dental visit, if there was more to this than she wanted me to know, then she was about to find out exactly what happens when you betray someone who has only ever been good to you. I took a deep breath and let it out, slow and controlled. My hand stopped shaking. My mind was clear. I wasn't going to ask her about it. I wasn't going to play dumb. I was going to find out the truth. And then I was going to make sure she regretted every second of it. I didn't say anything to Laura that night. Not a word about the bill. Not a single question about her sudden emergency dental visit. I wanted to see how she acted, how she carried herself when she thought I was oblivious. And she was good. I had to give her that. She walked through the front door just after 7, smiling like she always did. She had a takeout bag in one hand, her purse slung over the other. "Hey, babe," she called, kicking off her shoes. "I brought dinner. Figured you wouldn't feel like cooking." Normal. Too normal. I watched her set the food on the counter, moving around the kitchen like she had nothing to hide. Like everything was perfectly fine. I responded just as casually, giving her a nod. "Thanks. What did you get?" She grinned. "Thai. Your favorite." That was another thing. She had been doing that a lot lately. Small, thoughtful gestures, like she was trying to stay ahead of something. Like she was making up for something. I played along, sat down with her, ate my pad thai, made conversation. She asked about my day, told me about hers. Some story about a coworker's dog, some small complaint about traffic. I nodded, smiled where appropriate, pretended like I wasn't thinking about that damn bill sitting in my pocket. And the entire time, I was watching her. The way she laughed. The way she looked me in the eye when she spoke. The way she still reached across the table to steal a bite of my food like she had done 100 times before. If I hadn't known better, I would have believed everything was fine. But now I didn't know better, and I wasn't about to let this go. That night, when Laura went to take a shower, I checked her phone. I had never done it before, not once in our marriage. But this wasn't some paranoid suspicion. This was real. A bill, a date that didn't line up, a name I had never heard before. And now I needed proof. Her phone was face down on the nightstand. I picked it up, flipped it over, and locked. Of course. I knew her passcode, though. She had given it to me ages ago, and I had never once used it. But now my fingers moved on their own, tapping in the numbers. The screen unlocked. I exhaled slowly. Then I went straight to her messages. Nothing. Not a single text from anyone named Marcus. No messages from a number I didn't recognize. Just the usual chats with her sister, a group thread with her coworkers, a few unread notifications from some online store she shopped at. I scrolled through everything, my jaw tightening with every second. Nothing. I checked her call history. No one, no numbers. No recent calls to or from anyone I didn't recognize. I should have felt relieved, but instead, I felt something worse. She was covering her tracks. That only confirmed what I already knew. Something was going on. She wouldn't need to delete anything if she didn't have anything to hide. I set the phone down and sat on the edge of the bed, rubbing a hand over my face. There was still one more thing to check. Her calendar. Laura was a planner. Always had been. She put everything into her phone, appointments, reminders, even lunch dates with friends. I opened her calendar and scrolled back to the day of the so-called emergency. And there it was. A single entry. Lunch with M. My breath came slow, controlled. She had deleted the texts. She had erased any trace of their conversations. But she had left this. A tiny mistake, probably because she didn't think I'd ever look. Lunch with M. Not her sister. Not a friend. M. Marcus. Dr. Marcus Holloway. My fist clenched. I stared at the screen for a long time, my pulse heavy in my ears. So this was how she wanted to play it. When Laura came back into the bedroom, her hair damp, smelling like vanilla and soap, I was already in bed, scrolling through my phone like nothing was wrong. She slid in beside me, loud a sigh, and rested her head on my shoulder. "I was thinking," she murmured, "maybe we should take a weekend trip somewhere. Just us. It's been a while." I turned my head slightly, watching her out of the corner of my eye. A weekend trip. Now, after I had just found proof that she was sneaking around, she really thought I was that stupid. I smiled just enough to sell it. "Yeah, maybe." She hummed in approval, then kissed my jaw lightly before rolling over, her back to me. I lay awake long after she had fallen asleep, staring at the ceiling, my mind turning over 1,000 different ways this could go. I could confront her. I could scream, demand answers, shove that damn bill in her face, and force her to admit what she had done. But no, that wasn't enough. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of an argument. I wasn't going to let her twist things around, make excuses, cry, beg for forgiveness. She had already made her choice. Now, I was going to make mine. I didn't sleep that night. I lay there, eyes open, staring at the ceiling while Laura breathed softly beside me. Every inhale, Every exhale, every slight movement of the blankets felt like a mockery. She was at peace, comfortable, like she hadn't done a damn thing wrong. My mind ran in circles, replaying every little detail. The bill, the fake emergency, the erased messages, the lunch with Em note in her calendar. She was cheating. That much I was certain of now. But what I didn't know yet was how deep it went. Was this a one-time thing? Had been going on for weeks? Months? Had she fallen for this guy? Or was she just screwing him for the thrill of it? I needed answers. Not from her. From the truth. And I was going to get it on my own terms. The next morning, I acted normal. I woke up, kissed Laura on the cheek, went through my usual routine. She smiled at me over coffee, chatting about some coworker drama she had overheard. Like everything was fine. Like she wasn't lying through her teeth. I watched her carefully, noting every movement. The way she glanced at her phone when she thought I wasn't looking. The way she lingered a little too long before heading out the door. And then she was gone. I waited a few minutes before pulling out my own phone. If she had been smart enough to delete her messages, I couldn't rely on her phone to give me anything. But there was one place people always left their tracks, no matter how careful they were. Her car. I grabbed my spare set of keys and went outside. The sun was barely up, the morning air crisp and still. Laura's car sat in the driveway, untouched since last night. I climbed inside and started checking. First, the glove compartment. Just insurance papers and an old parking ticket. Then the center console. Lipstick, gum, a few crumpled receipts. Nothing unusual. But then I opened the side door pocket. And there it was. A second receipt. Holloway Dental and Amp. Aesthetics. Service. Teeth whitening. Teeth whitening. I let out a slow breath, staring at the paper in my hands. So much for an emergency appointment. I checked the date. 2 weeks ago. Same day as the bill. So not only had she lied about going to lunch with her sister, she had also lied about why she was at the dentist's office in the first place. And whitening. That wasn't an emergency. That wasn't even close. That was vanity. That was preparation. For who? For him. I leaned back in the seat, gripping the receipt so tightly the paper started to crinkle. This wasn't just about some casual office fling. This was about appearances. She wanted to look better for him. She had sat in that chair, staring up at him, letting him work on her smile, while I sat at home like a fool, believing whatever lie she had fed me. Rage burned under my skin, hot and slow. I needed more. I turned on the car, flipped through the Bluetooth settings. Laura's phone was still connected. Hers was the last device used. I scrolled through the call log. Nothing unusual. Then I checked the navigation history. And there it was. Holloway Dental and Amp. Aesthetics. But not just once. Not just the day of the appointment. 3 times in the last month. 3 visits. And she had only ever mentioned one. My grip tightened on the wheel. She had been seeing him regularly. Not just for her teeth. I exhaled slowly, forcing myself to stay calm. My mind was already moving to the next step. I had the evidence. I had the proof. But what I didn't have yet was confirmation. I needed to see it with my own eyes. That afternoon, I called out of work. Told them I had a stomach bug. Then I waited. Laura was supposed to finish work at 5. She'd either come straight home, or, if my suspicions were right, she'd make another stop. So I followed her. I parked a block away from her office, far enough that she wouldn't notice, and waited. Watched. At exactly 5:12 p.m., she walked out. She wasn't in a hurry. She wasn't checking her phone nervously or looking over her shoulder like someone with a guilty conscience. She was calm. That told me something important. She wasn't worried about being caught, which meant she thought I had no clue. Good. She got into her car, started the engine, pulled out of the lot. I followed. Not too close, not too far. Just enough to keep her in sight without making it obvious. She drove toward downtown, took a few turns, headed into a quieter part of the city. And then I saw it. Holloway Dental and Amp. Aesthetics. She pulled into the lot like it was the most natural thing in the world. Parked, but she didn't get out right away. Instead, she sat there, fidgeted with her hair in the mirror, checked her teeth, smiled at herself, like she was excited, like she was about to see someone who made her feel good. And that was when it really hit me. This wasn't some random fling. This wasn't just about sex. She liked this guy, and that made it worse. My jaw tightened as I watched her finally step out of the car. She smoothed down her dress, adjusted her purse, and walked inside. Not like a woman going to a dentist, like a woman meeting someone she wanted to impress. I sat there for a long moment, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. I could storm in right now. I could walk straight through those doors, demand to see Dr. Marcus Holloway, call her out right then and there. But no, that wasn't enough. I didn't just want to catch her. I wanted to destroy her. I stayed in my car, gripping the steering wheel so tight my fingers started to ache. I watched Laura disappear through the glass doors of Holloway Dental and Amp. Aesthetics, her posture relaxed, her steps light, like she had no worries in the world. Like she wasn't sneaking around behind my back. I should have gone in right then. Should have confronted her in the waiting room. Called out her lies in front of whoever was working the front desk. But that would have been too easy for her. She'd cry. She'd panic. She'd spin some excuse. Maybe even try to twist it all around, make me look like the unreasonable one. No, I needed more than just a confrontation. I needed to see it. I needed to know exactly what she was doing. So I waited. I turned off my car, slid down in the seat a little, and kept my eyes on the entrance. Minutes passed. A woman in scrubs walked out. A mother with 2 kids followed, herding them toward an SUV. But Laura? She didn't come back out, because she wasn't here for a quick dental checkup. She was inside, with him. I clenched my jaw, checking the time. She had been in there for 20 minutes already. What the hell kind of appointment took that long? No, that was a stupid question. This wasn't an appointment. This was something else. I knew I wouldn't be able to just sit there, waiting for her to come back out with that same nothing to see here look on her face. So I got out of my car. Not through the front door. No, I wasn't stupid. I walked around the side of the building instead. It was a small, modern office, not some massive medical complex. A single-story clinic, big windows lining the front. But I wasn't interested in the front. I wanted to see the back, because back doors are where secrets get kept. I moved slowly, casually, like I was just some guy taking a walk. My heart was pounding, but I kept my breathing steady. Then I spotted it. A small parking lot behind the building, meant for staff only. And at the far end, a door with a private sign. A door meant for employees. A door meant for him. A door that wasn't fully closed. I exhaled through my nose. Careless. Arrogant. I moved closer, checking my surroundings. There was no one else back here. The clinic was quiet. No cameras that I could see. And that door? It was cracked open just enough for sound to slip through. So I listened. At first, nothing. Then voices. Hers. His. I couldn't make out the words at first. Just the murmur of conversation, the sound of movement inside. A chair shifting. A drawer opening. Then, finally, a few words broke through. Laura's voice. Soft. Playful. You're terrible. A small laugh. I mean it. You're so full of yourself. Then his voice. Deeper. Smug. You love it. I saw red. My fingers curled into fists. That tone. That damn flirty tone in her voice. The one I hadn't heard in months. And that bastard's response? It wasn't just friendly. It wasn't professional. It was something else. Something intimate. I took a slow, steady breath, forcing myself to stay put. Then more movement. Fabric rustling. Then a sound that made my skin crawl. Laura's breathy giggle. I felt something in my chest tighten, hot and ugly. I could burst in right now. Shove that damn door open. See them with my own eyes. Catch them in the act. But I forced myself to stop. Not yet. I didn't just want proof. I wanted something undeniable. I needed to see them, yes, but not just standing close, not just exchanging flirtatious little words. I needed the kind of proof that would destroy any chance of her talking her way out of this. So I pulled my phone out of my pocket, and I hit record. I stood there, phone in hand, listening. More words. His voice, teasing. You're going to ruin your perfect teeth with all that biting. Then hers, almost in a whisper. Shut up. I swore under my breath. The last piece of doubt inside me shattered. This wasn't just a maybe anymore. This was real, and I had it on tape. A few more seconds passed before I heard more movement inside. Footsteps. A chair scraping back. Then, suddenly, silence. I tensed. Did they hear me? I slipped away from the door, moving fast but careful, tucking my phone into my pocket. I had to get back to the front, to my car, fast. I made it around the building just in time to see Laura walking out the front doors. She looked exactly the same as she had when she walked in. Hair perfect, expression relaxed, purse over her shoulder like she had just finished a regular appointment. Like she hadn't just been back there, flirting, touching, doing God knows what with another man. I slid into my car before she could spot me. Then I watched. She pulled out of the lot, phone in one hand, smiling at whatever message she was reading. Probably his. My pulse pounded in my ears. I waited until she was gone before I pulled out my phone again. I hit play, and there it was. Her voice. His voice. Their laughter. It was enough. More than enough. This wasn't just about her sneaking off. This wasn't just about a single moment of weakness. This was calculated. She had been lying to me for weeks. Maybe longer. Coming here, meeting him, laughing with him, touching him, and then coming home to me, sleeping in my bed, kissing me goodnight. I clenched my jaw, gripping the phone so tightly my knuckles turned white. I knew what I had to do, but it wasn't going to be fast, and it wasn't going to be easy. She thought she had me fooled. She thought she was smart, but she had no idea who she was dealing with. I didn't go home right away. I couldn't. If I went home now, sat across from Laura at the dinner table, listened to her talk about her day like nothing had happened, I might lose it. I might let the anger show too soon, and that wasn't part of the plan. So I drove. Aimless at first, letting my thoughts race. My grip on the steering wheel was tight, my jaw locked. I replayed the recording in my head over and over, hearing every detail, every giggle, every whispered flirtation. It was real. There was no misunderstanding, no excuse she could come up with. And now, I had to decide what to do with it. I wasn't the kind of man who acted on impulse. If I was, I would have stormed into that office and ripped Dr. Marcus Holloway apart with my bare hands. But no, that wasn't how I was going to handle this. She didn't deserve that kind of fire from me. She didn't deserve anything from me anymore. By the time I pulled back into our driveway, my mind was clear. I had a plan. Tonight, I was going to pretend nothing was wrong. Tomorrow, I was going to start tearing her world apart. I stepped inside the house, expecting to hear Laura moving around in the kitchen, maybe humming like she sometimes did when she cooked. But the house was quiet. Too quiet. Then I heard the water running upstairs. The shower. She was home. I let out a slow breath, steadying myself, then walked into the kitchen. The table was already set for dinner. 2 plates, wine poured, candles lit. She was really laying it on thick. Guilt. That's what this was. She felt guilty. So she was overcompensating, trying to smooth things over before I even had a reason to question anything. I wasn't stupid. I sat down, took a sip of the wine, and waited. A few minutes later, she came downstairs, fresh from a shower, her hair damp, a towel still wrapped around her shoulders. She was wearing a silky robe, tied loosely at the waist, and she smiled when she saw me. "Hey," she said softly, walking over to press a kiss to my cheek. I let her. I even smiled back. She sat down across from me, picking up her wine glass, swirling the liquid inside before taking a sip. "Long day." I nodded. "Yeah, you." She let out a small sigh, like she was exhausted. "Yeah, just work, the usual." Liar. She had spent the last 2 hours with him, laughing, touching, doing whatever the hell they did behind that door. And now, she was sitting here across from me, acting like a devoted wife. I studied her carefully, watching her expressions, her movements. She wasn't nervous, because she thought I had no idea. I could have dropped the bomb on her right then and there. Pulled out my phone, hit play, and watched the color drain from her face. But not yet. I needed more, so I played along. I ate dinner, nodded at the right moments, laughed when she cracked a joke. And all the while I was watching, waiting, looking for a crack in her perfect little act. And I found it. It was subtle, but it was there. When she thought I wasn't looking, she checked her phone. A quick glance. Just a second too long. I'd seen her do it before, but this time, I knew exactly what she was looking for. A message. From him. I could feel my heartbeat in my ears, but I forced myself to stay calm. She finished eating first, pushing her plate away with a satisfied sigh. Then she stood, stretching, her robe slipping just enough to reveal smooth, bare skin. A silent invitation. She was testing the waters. trying to see if I would take the bait, if I would fall into bed with her like nothing had changed. I smiled. Then I stood up, kissed her on the forehead, and said, "I'm exhausted. Gonna turn in early." A flicker of something crossed her face. Disappointment. Maybe even confusion. She had expected me to want her. Expected me to chase her. Not anymore. I walked upstairs, my back to her, my heart pounding in my chest. She had no idea. No idea that this was the last night she would ever think she had control. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, running through the next steps in my head. Tomorrow, I was going to take this further. Tomorrow, I was going to test her. And when she failed, I was going to make sure she never forgot it. I woke up before Laura the next morning. Or at least, I acted like I did. Truth was, I hadn't slept much at all. I had spent most of the night staring at the ceiling, thinking, planning, going over every possible way this could play out. When I finally heard her stir beside me, shifting under the blankets, I stayed still. Let her believe I was deep in sleep. I could feel her watching me. That quiet kind of observation, like she was wondering if something was off. Maybe she had picked up on something last night. Maybe my distance, my refusal to touch her, had left her unsettled. Good. I wanted her to feel that uncertainty. I wanted her to wonder if she had been too careless. After a few moments, she slipped out of bed, her movements careful, like she didn't want to wake me. She padded into the bathroom, shut the door, and I heard the shower turn on. I sat up, ran a hand over my face, exhaled slowly. Today was the day. Today, I was going to see just how deep her betrayal ran. Laura came downstairs a little while later, her hair still damp, wrapped in one of my old sweatshirts and a pair of leggings. She looked soft, relaxed, like any other morning, like she wasn't hiding something. I was sitting at the table, drinking coffee, reading the news on my phone. When she walked in, I looked up and smiled at her. She smiled back, but I noticed something. Her eyes flickered over me for just a second longer than usual, like she was gauging my mood, checking if I was still playing the role of the oblivious husband. She didn't say anything right away, just poured herself a cup of coffee, moving around the kitchen with practiced ease. Then, finally, "You feeling okay?" I took a sip of my coffee, watching her over the rim. "Yeah, what?" She shrugged. "You just seemed, I don't know, a little off last night." There it was, the tiny thread of doubt she had been holding on to. I smiled, shaking my head. "Just tired. Work's been a mess lately." That was enough for her. She nodded, sipping her coffee, and I could see the relief settle into her shoulders. She really thought she had me fooled. I let the morning pass by like any other Saturday. We made breakfast together, watched some mindless show on TV, had lazy conversations about nothing important. It was all part of the setup, because I needed her to believe everything was normal before I went in for the test. By noon, she was getting ready to run errands. I already knew what that meant. I sat on the couch, casually flipping through my phone as she walked past, purse slung over her shoulder. "I'll be back in a couple of hours," she said. "I need to pick up a few things." I didn't ask what. Didn't even look up. "All right. Want me to grab anything for dinner?" I asked, keeping my tone casual. She hesitated just for a second. Then, smoothly, she said, "Nah, I'll pick something up on the way back." That was all I needed to hear. She was giving herself extra time. More than just a quick trip to the store. I forced a small smile, nodded. "All right. See you later." She walked out the door, and I counted. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3. Then I got up, grabbed my keys, and followed. Laura didn't go to the store. She didn't go anywhere near the places she usually shopped. She drove downtown, right to Holloway Dental and Amp Aesthetics. I stayed far enough back, careful not to get too close. I didn't want her to see me, didn't want to give her a reason to be suspicious. She pulled into the lot, parked in the same space she had last time. But instead of walking in the front entrance like any normal patient would, she walked around the side. The back entrance, the one with the private sign. I parked down the street, killed the engine, and just sat there for a moment. Watching, waiting. I felt that familiar rage simmering under my skin, but I didn't let it take over. Not yet. I needed to see what happened next. Laura was inside for 45 minutes. I counted every single second. She wasn't getting her teeth cleaned. She wasn't having a follow-up appointment. She was with him, and when she finally came back out, her hair was slightly mussed, Her cheeks flushed just enough that anyone paying attention would have known she wasn't just in there for a consultation. She walked to her car, took out her phone, and typed something. A message. To him, probably. I felt my grip tighten on the steering wheel. I could get out right now. Walk up to her car, knock on the window, and watch the panic spread across her face when she saw me standing there. But no, that wasn't enough. I needed to make sure she understood what she had done. And that wouldn't happen with a simple confrontation. She needed to lose everything. So I waited. Let her drive off. Let her think she was safe. Then I started making calls. By the time she got home, I had already set everything in motion. She walked into the house like nothing had happened, setting down her purse, pulling out a bag of groceries as if she had actually been out shopping. Hey, she called. Got us some stuff for dinner. I turned from the sink, drying my hands. Smiled. Great, I said. Before we eat, though, there's something I want to show you. She blinked, tilting her head slightly. Oh, I nodded. Yeah, come here. I led her to the living room, where my laptop was already open on the coffee table. A video paused on the screen. I had transferred from my phone just an hour ago. I hit play and watched as her world started to fall apart. I watched Laura's face as the video started playing. At first, she was confused. She leaned in slightly, her brows drawn together, like she wasn't sure what she was looking at. The screen was dark, the audio muffled. But then, there it was. Her voice. His voice. That damn giggle. She froze. Her whole body stiffened as the sound played out in the quiet of our living room. You're terrible. You love it. Then that rustling sound, the unmistakable noise of fabric shifting, of someone moving just a little too close. I saw the exact moment she realized what she was hearing. Her breath hitched. Her eyes went wide. Then her head snapped toward me. Wah, her voice cracked. Where? Where did you get that? I didn't answer. I let the video play. I let her listen to the words she had said, the way she had flirted, the way she had laughed while she was supposed to be at a routine dental appointment. And I watched her break. Her hands trembled just slightly before she clenched them into fists. Her breathing came faster, more uneven. Turn it off, she whispered. I didn't. The video kept going. You're going to ruin your perfect teeth with all that biting. Shut up. Laura's face went pale. Turn it OFF, she shrieked, lunging toward the laptop. I slammed it shut before she could grab it, the snap of the plastic echoing through the room. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. She stood there, chest rising and falling rapidly, her lips slightly parted like she was struggling to find the right words. I sat back against the couch, exhaling slowly. Then, finally, I said it. So, I tilted my head. How long has this been going on? Her throat worked as she swallowed. Don't lie to me, Laura. My voice was eerily calm, even to my own ears. I followed you today. I saw you go through the back entrance. Her mouth opened, then closed. She knew. She knew she couldn't talk her way out of this. I let that silence hang between us. Let her feel the weight of it. I wanted her to sweat, to sit there, caught, exposed, and know that there was no escape. Her gaze darted around the room, as if looking for something, an excuse, an exit, anything that could save her. And then, just like that, the mask came back on. She sighed, ran a hand through her hair, and slumped into the chair across from me, like she was the one exhausted by all this. Listen, she started, her voice soft now, almost gentle. It's not. She hesitated, choosing her words carefully. It's not what you think. I laughed, actually laughed. That seemed to throw her off because she blinked at me, startled. Not what I think. I repeated, leaning forward. Laura, I just played you a recording of yourself flirting with a dentist you've been sneaking off to see. I shook my head. So tell me, what exactly am I thinking that's so wrong? She sighed again, this time more dramatically, like I was the one being unreasonable. I swear to you, she said. I didn't sleep with him. I narrowed my eyes. But you wanted to. She flinched. I had hit the nerve. She tried to cover it, tried to shake her head like I was crazy, but it was too late. I saw it. She had been caught, and now she was drowning. Nothing happened, she insisted. Marcus and I. He's been a friend. We talk. That's it. We joke around, maybe too much. I see that now, but it's not. I stood up. She immediately shut up. That fear? The one flickering in her eyes now? She wasn't scared of me. She was scared of the consequences. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't throwing things. But she knew this wasn't like before. This wasn't something she could fix with sweet words and empty promises. I don't care, I said flatly. She frowned. What? I turned away, shaking my head. I don't care if you slept with him. I don't care if you were planning to. I don't care if it was just flirting. You lied to me. You snuck around. You let me sit here every night thinking everything was fine, while you were out there making yourself pretty for another man. Laura shot up from her chair. That's not fair. I turned to face her again, and for the first time, I let her see the anger in my eyes. No, Laura. My voice was sharp now, cutting through her excuses. What's not fair is me being faithful to you for years while you run around behind my back like some desperate high school girl with a crush on her dentist. She clenched her jaw, her hands balling into fists. That's not. You deleted your messages. I cut her off. You changed your routine. You lied to my face. She was breathing hard now. She knew I had her, so she changed tactics. The tears came next. Her voice broke, and her eyes filled with unshed tears. I never meant to hurt you. I scoffed. Oh, you never meant to hurt me? I repeated, voice dripping with sarcasm. That's rich, Laura. A tear slid down her cheek. She swallowed. I got caught up. I don't know why. It was stupid. I should have told you. I should have stopped. I tilted my head. Why didn't you? Silence. She bit her lip, then whispered, I don't know. Bullshit. She knew exactly why. She liked it. The attention. The excitement. She liked the way it made her feel, like she was desirable, like she still had that thrill of being wanted by another man. She liked having both worlds. And now, she had lost it all. I exhaled through my nose, then turned toward the stairs. She blinked. Where are you? Packing. Her face crumpled. Wait. She stepped forward. Wait, please, let's talk. I shook my head. We're done, Laura. Her lip trembled. Why you don't mean that? I turned back to her, my expression dead serious. Oh, I mean it. The reality of it hit her then. This wasn't just a fight. This wasn't just some bad argument that we could fix. I was leaving, and she couldn't stop me. Tears spilled down her cheeks as she shook her head, stepping toward me. Please. I raised a hand. She froze. We're done, I repeated. Then I turned and walked away. Let her sit there, drowning in the mess she had made. Let her feel it. Let her know what it felt like to lose everything. And I didn't look back.